So I am in my training folder, and I'm going to first start with the faculty directory. Now, keep in mind that I'm just going to show you this first, that in your showcase folder, if I go to the faculty directory that was delivered to us, there is, of course, going to be a faculty listing page that I'm going to go over. So I'll show you how it looks right now, since I'm just in their showcase, before I go and show you how to make a new one using the template. So if I click on the index.pcf, this is basically the listing page for the faculty. So this page is what is using basically the XML feed of what is found as far as all the individual profiles go. So this is going through the site, and it's basically pulling all the faculty pages that it finds once it decides to load. Here's Murphy again. Oh, no, he's okay. Murphy's just a little slow, but he'll pick up his act later. And as you can see, I suppose these are your actual staff members. And so this is what the list looks like. Of course, you've got the pagination going on here, pretty easy to use. There is the ability to show a different number of entries. So we got 10, 25, 50, and 100 at a time. We've also got filtering. So if you filter, you can filter here by department. So if I want to come here and filter just anthropology, I can go ahead and do that right here. So that will allow you to filter those out. So that's basically how it looks. Of course, we'll be playing with it a little bit more when I actually show you how, when we create it from template, it'll look the exact same here, just won't have all these people's names. And if I go back to pages, inside of this standalone folder right here, because you can put the faculty pages anywhere they want. Here, they're just in a folder called profiles. We've basically just got this long list of all the staff members. And like I said, when we go to the training folder and I create a new faculty section, we'll go over the details of an individual faculty page. And for now, these are all pretty much blank. They just have the names, just the department and the email. So that is what it looks like. So now what we're going to do, so that you have a better understanding of how it functions, is let's pretend, in which you probably won't do this, ultimately you'll just use that one. But I'm going to be going into training and just show you that you can create a faculty section anywhere. It's just that it's going to be self-contained, so that it's going to basically kind of like be its own set of faculty members, like contained in one spot, that's independent from other faculty systems, so to say. So what I'm going to do is use our templates. So by pressing plus new, and you'll also see that he fixed your icons. Yay, so they look a lot nicer. So you've got all your icons now fixed. So in order to make a faculty section, it's got its own part here. So that's how you would start off. You would create a new faculty section, and what that's going to create is just all the basic, Omni CMS starter files, like a props file and a nav file that is not really technically being used. So the nav file is just kind of there in case you ever need to export somewhere else in the future. It's just got a navigation, but it's not being used. And of course, it creates a listing page. So do keep in mind that the listing page is also its standalone template. So if you just wanted a listing page by itself, you would just create, you could just use this. And obviously when you create a new faculty profile, so an individual page for a staff member, this is what you would use. But if you're starting from scratch and you want to create an actual faculty section in any given directory, then this is what you would use. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. It's of course going to get our basic information. So for the folder, this has to be a friendly name. So I'm just going to say training faculty like that, just like as a test. And the section title, I'm just going to use that same thing, just give it a more readable, friendly name. And then the title here, this general page setup, is referring specifically to the index, so that default page that it's going to create, that happens to be the listing page. So I'm going to call this training faculty sample listing page. Long title, but that's okay. I'll skip all the meta stuff for now. Now this right here, the file configuration, of course, by keeping this yes as a review from Tuesday, that'll just simply add this this as a navigation item to the local, in this case, the training section. It'll create a navigation item for this faculty section, which will link to this new faculty listing page. I'm going to say yes so that there's a link to it. No need to overwrite anything here. I'm just going to go ahead and press create. And of course, that access group, like we talked about yesterday, you can always assign an access group while it's being created there. So in a moment, it'll navigate me now. So now it took me to that new training faculty section that I created. And then specifically, I'm in the default.pcf listing page that was created with the name that we intended for it to be. If I press back to pages here, we can just see the folder. So here's that new folder that we created in the training folder. This is that props file that's handling everything behind the scenes. That nav file here is not really going to be used here. It's just that it's going to hold data with whatever else goes in here. I'm going to click that faculty.pcf so that we can take a look at how it looks. So as you can see, there's our breadcrumb. So that way you can see the directory structure here. And when I'm in the edit tab, let's take a look at what we can edit directly here in the tab. So everything's going to look the same. It's still got the filtering, but of course there are no entries here because there are no XML files yet that are found in this directory downward. So there's not going to be any data available. And that's pretty much all we can do here. There's not like really any editable regions that I'm seeing here on the page. So there's not really much you can do here. This is just going to be listing anything that's found. However, if I look at properties, there's going to be a few things there. So obviously the title and metadata, which we see everywhere. This is where I change the page heading. So if I want to change that heading or the breadcrumb, however, note that now this should say, technically should say default pages because you guys are using the term default, but same idea, default index. So even if I change this breadcrumb, so because this was created as a default.pcf, if I try to change this, it's not going to make a difference. So if I write changed and click save, I'm not going to see a difference in the breadcrumb. At least I shouldn't. Yeah, so this isn't going to be the same. However, if you created a standalone faculty listing page that wasn't the default PCF of that given folder, then this would be changed to reflect that name. So that's the only distinction there. If I go back to properties and into parameters, I can also change the hero type. So I can do a video or an image. So that's different than, of course, just the regular banner. So if I did the image, I get that large background image for the hero here. So that's completely customizable. And if it looks like you guys do actually have, this is not always in every build, but if I want to display the nav for this section, which really, I don't really see why you would want to, it would just be repetitive. It would just display, for example, faculties that are in this section. But if you wanted to display the nav, so whatever is in the training faculty nav folder, if you wanted that to be displayed, you would check this.